You know, when I was a kid, we didn't have fancy graphics for our video games. They were like little cursors and blocks moving around a little maze. Now it's like movies in these video games.
Fully produced action adventures that you are the hero of. And that's something that we actually saw quite a bit more of at E3 this year.
Well, E3, that's the big trade show that happens every year down in LA for the video game industry. So what was exciting this year?
This year it was really cool to see because this is a big year for the gaming industry. It's all about new consoles. So we saw the Wii U launch earlier this year, but we saw announcements from Nintendo on their gaming lineup, but new console announcements from Sony and from Microsoft, which was really cool.
Well, they getting a little long in the tooth. The Xbox 360 has been around for like 8 years. I mean, that's forever in the technology world.
Yeah, you've got to take a look at it. I mean, the Xbox 360 launched 8 years ago, the PlayStation 3 launched 7 years ago, and while they've really come a long way with what they can do with that technology, it's starting to reach the limits of what we can do with it. So it's time to look forward to a new generation, and with the Xbox One from Microsoft and the PlayStation 4 from Sony, we're going to see that this year. They're coming out later this fall, and these things are powerful. They've got 8 core AMD processors, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and tons of hard drive space. Now, one of the interesting things was what Microsoft has done, which has gone with an online-only console design.
Just like the old Atari. I kid you. But I mean, it's so different now, right? Like the old days, you had cartridges. And it was kind of fun, you stuck them in, but now it's all kind of cloud-based. And you talk about this always on, you have to be connected to the internet now to play these games.
That's exactly it. I mean, you take the disc, you plug the disc into the console with the Xbox One, it's actually going to take all of the information on that disc and put it onto the console. The reason it's got to be always on is because once a day it's going to call home to make sure that you actually still own that game. You haven't traded it away or sold it to someone so that you can play it again. Some gamers find this to be a little intrusive. I mean, not everybody has an internet connection all the time, so sometimes it can be hard to get that connection, which means that your console could turn off after a day if you can't get online. Kind of not a cool thing. So,
I know a lot of people are complaining about that, and you know, it doesn't sit well with me, but then I'm just thinking, you know what? All these gamer guys now, they're always connected anyway, so it's not really a big deal, is it?
Well, I mean, the last time that I lost my internet connection was when the power went out, and if the power's out, I'm probably not playing video games anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it, but you've got folks who are traveling. I've never actually taken a console with me on vacation.
Okay, how many people are traveling with their consoles? You know, occasionally I've gone up to Whistler and I brought the console with me, but you know, I still could get an internet connection there.
Yeah, the tin cans and string reach right up to Whistler, so it's good. So I do see that, you know, there could be a problem with some folks, but I think for the majority of people out there, it's not going to be an issue. The PlayStation 4, on the other hand, apparently the big winner of the show, according to a lot of people, and that's because they're essentially doing what they did this generation. There's no always on, and the used game thing, you can sort of trade games around very easily. Microsoft's got this system where you've got to check in with them to make sure that you can give it to somebody. You can only do it once per game. Kind of an interesting approach. With the PlayStation 4, they're coming in and saying, this Blu-ray is yours, I want to give it to you, I just hand it to you, which I think is kind of it's cool, it's just status quo. So.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens when holiday season comes out, which path, whether the Microsoft one is going to work, or is Sony going to get all these unhappy Xbox people.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think the real dark horse in this race is the Wii U, because Nintendo's coming out with a ton of great games for the Wii U and the 3DS. They've got 8 games coming out over the course of the next year, and they're series like Super Mario Land 3D, Super Mario World 3D, pardon me, Mario Kart 8, and a new Legend of Zelda, both for the 3DS and a remake for the Wii U, a classic game that we all love, Wind Waker. So lots of stuff coming up this holiday season, but one of the coolest things that I saw at E3, we're actually going to get in here, and that's the Oculus Rift. Now, if you remember VR,
that just sounds weird.
It is weird. Do you remember VR back in the 90s? VR was like
helmet on.
The helmets and the guns and that sort of thing. VR's back, and it's alive, and it's in the form of the Oculus Rift. This thing's really cool. It's a lightweight headset that fits right in front of your face, over your ears, and it's got a pair of stereo screens inside. Now, I got a chance to try the high-definition version of the Oculus Rift while I was at E3, and I've got to say, VR is here. I did a ton of VR back in the 90s with like MechWarrior and that sort of thing. It's never been like this. We're going to get it in here. We're going to take a look at it.
Well, good excuse for you not to deal with reality anymore.
I don't deal with reality anyway.
I know.
Gotta get connected.